great photo behind me there before the curtains closed. And that my Abbey connections actually go back before being the wrestling coach or assistant wrestling coach. I went to Providence Country Day for 2 years, 8th and 9th grades. And so we played the Abbey in those 8th and 9th grade sports, played St. George's, St. Andrews. That was the circuit back then. And those were always good memories. And then after I graduated from Brown, one of my friends, Rick Heimbach, who had taken student teaching at Brown, got a job here as the hockey coach and history teacher. And he told me he needed an assistant wrestling coach while he was coaching hockey. So Coach Newell was the head coach, and I came over, and next thing you know, I'm the assistant wrestling coach here at Abbey. And great memories from that year behind me, all those good wrestlers. But one that stands out, I'll tell this quick story before getting on to the politics, because it was such a vivid memory. In the tournament, the Southeastern New England tournament, we were doing very, very well. And one wrestler, Steve, thank you, I understand his niece was just up here preceding me, was down 8-4 with about 40 seconds left. And his opponent got a bloody nose. And so he went over to get some cotton in his nose. And so Steve came over to Coach Newell and I can remember saying to Steve, you're down 8-4, and he was down on the disadvantaged position, which is underneath. You've got to escape, you've got to take him down, and you've got to put him on his back. And Steve went down, he did wrestling, you know how you get in that position. Steve was on the bottom. He exploded out in escape. Boom, out he came. And then he went after his opponent like an enraged tiger. Got him, took him down, put him on his back, and won. It was just unbelievable. So Steve got escaped, take him down, put him on his back, and all happened in about 35 seconds with 40 seconds left. And now, of course, I've been back on campus visiting Caleb at his, bringing him to and from school and visiting his sports games and seeing the video of him up here, setting a high bar there, Caleb. Good job. And so I'd like to talk about my experiences. I started out running for office in a very obscure political position known as a delegate to the Constitutional Convention. Came back from working on the racetrack for 7 years. Was back here in Rhode Island and looking for a challenge. I saw where they were electing delegates to the Constitutional Convention. And in that convention, we would talk about constitutional issues in Rhode Island. And they'd elect 100 delegates. So I signed up, 7 other people signed up, and I knew enough about politics to go get what they call a palm card. And that's something with your name on it, a slogan. Mine was a fresh face and a trusted name, because my dad was in politics. And on the other side of the palm card, what I would want to do in that constitutional convention. So I got them printed up. Didn't cost a whole lot of money. Got in my car. I knew the district, the boundaries of the district I had to work in. And I went to the neighborhood. I parked the car. And all of a sudden, I got this tremendous stage fright. And I sat in the car for about 20 minutes, trying to get the courage to go up and knock on that first door. I was thinking, the person's going to yell at me, what are you doing on my lawn? Get off my house. And so finally I said, I can't go back to home with my palm cards not having done anything. I got to go up and knock on this door. So I screwed up my courage, opened the car door, walked up, rang the doorbell and knocked on the door. And a woman, I can remember coming, looking through the window of the door, and I could tell the look on her face. She was going, are you going to sell me a vacuum cleaner? Are you going to try and change my religion? I could tell it, the look on her face. And so she opened the door kind of cautiously, and I said, hi, I'm Link Chafee. I'm running for delegate to the Constitutional Convention. I hope you'll vote for me in November. This great look of relief came over her face. A smile came up. I don't have to buy an encyclopedia. I don't have to convert. And I said, this is great. I'm not selling anything. I'm not proselytizing. And so I walked every house, and I had yellow marks where yellow on every street that I covered in my district. And that first courage to get up and walk and not ring the first doorbell gave me the confidence and the energy to yellow out every street in the district, and I beat the other 7 candidates, and that was my start in political office. And so the lesson I learned from that is from the old Chinese proverb, and that's a journey of 1,000 leagues begins beneath one's feet. And it's so true. It's so true. That first step, a journey of 1,000 leagues begins beneath one's feet. And it is so true. And from there, I started my political career. That first step, going up there and starting to knock on the doors. Then I ran for city council, did the same thing, yellowed out every street in the district, beat an incumbent. He was in office, I beat him, and then run for re-election, and then ran for mayor. The first time I was unsuccessful. You do have disappointments in politics. I was a Republican at the time, I'm an independent now, but there was a long string of Democrats in my city of Warwick, and I was not able to win that first time. But I came back and defeated him 2 years later. And another story that occurred that was important in my political career was during my time in office, we were doing a big sewer project in the northern part of Warwick. And the construction crews were crisscrossing the neighborhood, digging up streets, putting in sewers. And unfortunately, the construction crews cracked a gas main, and the gas flowed into a house, and the spark from the furnace clicked on, and kaboom! The house exploded. Luckily, no one was home, and there were no animals, but it was just kindling. Nothing left of the house, just kindling. In fact, this is true, there was a couch in the tree. Way up in the maple tree was a couch. And I don't know if you've ever seen in science books during hurricanes, sometimes a piece of wood will go right through a tree. That happened in this case too. A piece of wood went right through a branch of an oak tree. And so naturally, people all through the neighborhood were scared stiff. They were terrified. Is this going to happen to my house? Because all through the neighborhood was this construction project going on. And so we had to have a meeting that night at the Pilgrim Senior Center of all the terrified neighbors. And so we had the gas company there, we had the construction crew there, and the place was packed. And I said to everybody, we have to keep calm. These people are naturally angry, they're naturally scared about going back into their homes. And so for the next 3 hours, we kept very, very calm language. The gas company was great, the construction crew was great, and we just carefully calmed everybody down. They went back to the houses, and what I learned from that is that staying calm is the most important thing at certain times in leadership roles. That was up to us on that stage in front of all those people to make sure that they had the confidence to go back in the house. I think the ability of us, all of us, because they were yelling at us, using harsh language. That happens in public meetings sometimes when people are angry. But we stayed calm throughout the whole evening, and that got everybody the confidence to go back into the house. So that's a great lesson that I learned that served me well in the future. I finished my mayor term, and my dad was in the Senate. He announced he wasn't going to run for re-election, so I decided to throw my hat into the ring and run for the U.S. Senate. And I was busy raising money and out doing everything necessary to try and get elected. And then he died in office, and the governor appointed me to be senator. And then I subsequently won the election on my own in that election and went into the Senate. And one of the big events that happened, of course, was September 11th. And that was in my first year since I was elected, my second year in the Senate. And September 11th was on a Tuesday. I'm sure you all remember it. And on Thursday, we met, House and Senate, Republicans, Democrats. On the Senate side, the Democrats met in one room, the Republicans met in another. And we were given a piece of paper, just an 8x10 piece of paper like this, and that paper said draft, draft, draft at the top. And then whereas, therefore we give the president authorization to respond. And the smoke's still coming from the Pentagon and from the World Trade Center. I mean, it's really just right after September 11th occurred. And we're giving the president authorization to respond. And I'm looking at this piece of paper, and not only does it say draft, draft, draft on it at the top, it also says on one of the whereas, one of the whereases is whereas this treacherous act. And it crossed off treacherous, this is true, and handwritten despicable above it, whereas this treacherous act. change that word. But I'm thinking, as I look at this, surrounded by other senators, before we go to vote to give the president authorization to go to war, can't they get a new copy, get the drafts off, print in the right word? Yes, they're right to change treachery to despicable, write in the right word, get 100 new copies for 100 new senators, and send us out to vote. That's what I'm thinking. But nonetheless, things were happening quickly, and we filed out to vote on this authorization. And a senator from Oregon, Gordon Smith, was next to me, and I said, Gordon, we're going too fast here. And he said, Mike, the train's left the station. And that's what it was like. So then we went in to vote, and there were 2 votes. One to give New York City $20 billion in aid. The other was this authorization. So they were calling the roll to vote, and I'm C. Chafee, so I'm at the beginning of the alphabet, and it comes to me and says, Chafee from Rhode Island, I'm seen on C-SPAN. And I'm just thinking about all this, and I say, no. And the senator next to me said, Lank, you just voted against money from New York City. I certainly didn't want to do that. The other senator on the other side says, no, he's voting against the war authorization. No, it's the $20 billion. No, it's the war authorization. So I said, well, let me go down to the well of the Senate. If you've seen on C-SPAN, you walk down. So I walked down and asked the parliamentarians, what are we voting on? And they started arguing. This is the war authorization. No, it's the $20 billion. And in their defense, they just assumed it was going to be 100 to nothing on both. And so they weren't paying attention. But that was an indication of how fast things were going. As it turned out, I did change my vote. I didn't vote no on Afghanistan. This is right after September 11th, to go into Afghanistan, as it turned out, this war authorization. And only one member of Congress did vote no on that original authorization, and that was Barbara Lee from Oakland, California, House member, African-American House member from Oakland. And she got hung in effigy and criticized, and she had that security because people were so angry. So in one sense, I said, phew, lucky I didn't vote no. But that experience, again, of thinking hard about a complex and highly emotional issue, and then being willing to buck the tide, buck the trend that was happening. As Gordon Smith said, the train's left the station. I thought about it, and although I changed my vote then, when the next vote came against Iraq, I had that same confidence of saying, I'm going to really think about this, and I'm going to buck the tide, such as I almost did on Afghanistan. So when the Iraq vote came up, about a year and a half later, I was able to say, think hard about this, I'm going to buck the tide, and I'm going to vote no. And as we all know now, only 23 of 100 senators voted no. I was the only Republican, but we really didn't know what we were getting into. We should have taken our time and thought about whether Saddam Hussein really had weapons of mass destruction, and all the reasons for us going to Iraq. We should have looked a little more carefully at the long-term ramifications. So those are some lessons that I've learned out there. First of all, take that first step. Sometimes it's that first step that's so important in your success. Another one is stay calm when the boat's getting rocky and the storm is, and people are angry and scared. Stay calm. And then lastly, have the courage to buck the tide. Think hard. First of all, think hard. And then secondly, have the courage to, even though the tide's going in another direction, think about the long term, where you're going to be months and years from now, which side you might want to be on. So I'm happy to be here. The foundation of my success is also on that slide behind me as a wrestling coach here at the Abbey. It's a great school. It served me well, and you're very lucky to be here at this tremendous institution. So thank you. A good question. There are pros and cons on being an independent. The pro is that I don't have to adhere to any political doctrine. That was difficult as a Republican in the Senate. My leadership was saying, for instance, on the Iraq War vote, come on, Link, you've got to vote for the Iraq War. As a party, we've got to be united on some of the tax cuts that I thought we should have been going a little more 20, to have a start would have been something. And so that's the disadvantage. Also, just politically, for those of you that might want to run for office, raising money is a reality of being successful in politics. You've got to go, even for delegate to the Constitutional Convention, I had to raise $800 or $1,000 to pay for those palm cards and put some ads in the paper. If you're an independent, it's harder to raise money. The political parties will help you raise money. That's one thing I've learned. So I love being independent. There are some cons to it. I think if you think hard, I think that's the first step. Really think hard, because you're going to be opening yourself up to criticism when you buck the tide. That's just the way it is. I see it in every step of politics, every stage of politics, the pack mentality. And so if you're bucking the tide, you're going to be criticized. So if you think hard, and I like to think about where I'm going to be a year from now, or 3 years from now, or 5 years from now, whether there'll be vindication, if you will. And so the first step, if you're going to buck the tide, is think hard about it. And then it can be fun to buck the tide. I was happy voting against the Iraq War. I did not believe that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And people tell me that's a courageous vote. I always thought that was one of the easiest votes I took. I came up to the Vietnam era, so I was very, very reluctant to get into another quagmire. Of all things in this small world, Peter Fitzgerald, an Abbey grad, was from Illinois and served with me. And he also an independent Republican. He had a good independent streak. And on Iraq, I can remember him saying, shaking his head, and having his doubts, but not quite getting there to vote against it. And I saw him after he left the Senate. He stayed in the McLean, Virginia area outside of Washington where I lived, getting into banking. Abbey success all over the world. It was polarized when I was there, but now it seems that gulf has just grown so wide to the detriment of just moving normal things forward. Remember the whole debate about the debt ceiling? We paralyzed the country. The stock markets crashed over just passing kind of a pro forma debt ceiling issue. And there are certain bills in Congress that they call them reauthorization, but it's the education bill that you reauthorize every 5 years the money to go for elementary and secondary education. They have to be reauthorized every 5 years. The highway bill has to be reauthorized every 5 years. These bills are just not getting done. I think they call them continuing resolutions. They just say whatever was, we'll continue. And you just have to modernize every 5 years. Look at the education, what we want to change, Look at the highway bill, what we want to change, but that just isn't happening. So it's unfortunate. A lot of talk about whether we need more independents running to get away from that political polarization. But as I mentioned, I found it very, very difficult to raise the money as independent. Mayor Bloomberg, we're friends, and he wanted to run, but he said there's no room for an independent in this political structure. He wanted to run for president and try and change the dynamics. So we have to find some way to get the parties working together after the election's over. Elections are great for conflict and fight, and that's what they're about. And partisanship, that's what elections are about. But once they're over, let's do the business of moving our country forward. Well, I'm still learning. I'm just over a year as governor, and certainly the assumption was that I would be able to bring Democrats and Republicans together. What I found in the State House in my first year is that the legislature around is so strong, and they have taken on more and more power. They're strong by our Constitution, and when I was a delegate at the Constitutional Convention, we did want to change the executive power to balance it better. It's the older states, the older left over from the colonies, they gave governor suffer under now. And prior to my taking office, the legislature just solidified even more so their power. And so they like to not even deal with the governor. We're going to make these decisions. And so to your question, bringing people together, the first thing is to exercise some executive power, and then you can get people together. And we're doing that. I'm working, as I said, my experiences that I've had, staying calm has been very important in dealing with the Speaker of the House and the Senate President. Tomorrow's another day. We're not going to get into a fierce argument. Tomorrow's another day, and we're going to move this state forward. You might have beaten me up this time, but tomorrow's another day. And I think it is going to be valuable being an independent. I'm not running against any of their people. They have people running every 2 years, senators and reps out there. We're coming into an election year 2012. I'm not going to be out there campaigning against any of them, which I would have had to do if I were of the other party. Yes, I served with Senator Snow, Olympia Snow, and she had a long career in the House and then in the Senate. And we would have lunch every Wednesdays, what we call the moderate Republicans. And I'm not surprised that she just said enough's enough. It gets to be no fun if you're not getting things done for the people. And so the answer for what we're going to do, she decided just not to run. Let somebody else take a crack at it. Maybe that's her decision. But I do think that these things come in cycles, and unfortunately we're in this very polarized cycle right now. Talk radio, and they make higher ratings by, you turn on the radio and it's all anger, and I guess that helps their ratings. That's just a cycle we're going through. And so I just think we wait it out, stay calm, and when the challenge is so enormous, we have to get together. It happened in times of crisis in the United States, and will happen again. I'm confident of that. I'm hoping there's room for another party. I'm trying it as an independent, but I'm not sure if that's the answer. Talking with Mayor Bloomberg and others, is there another way here? Third party? Haven't gotten that confidence that that's the path to take. The hardest issue, the tax cuts. When President Bush and Dick Cheney, Vice President Cheney were elected, they came right in right away with a huge tax cut package. It was something like $1.6 trillion. And growing up, I was used to trying to battle through deficits. We had the Vietnam War that got us into deficits, and then the 80s, Reagan, his tax cuts were too deep, and then you had Ross Perot, remember Ross Perot and his charts, and how we get out of the deficit. You had something called Graham Rudman that was supposed to get us out of deficits. Somehow, in the 90s, we got out of deficits. President Clinton handed to the Republican administration, the Republican Senate, the Republican House, what I would think is a Republican issue, surpluses. And immediately they went on this huge tax cut rampage. And no politician likes anything better than cut taxes. That's popular. And so we fought all spring over this gigantic tax cut package. And finally, usually we get it done in March, the budget. I can remember on Memorial Day, the end of May, they were trying to get this resolved. They finally got it resolved. They made us stay until Saturday, Memorial Day. And I was walking over to vote finally on this huge tax cut. And she asked, what's the hardest vote I take? I can remember. It's Memorial Day. It's a beautiful day. And I'm walking over from the office building to the Capitol where you vote. And I'm thinking, of course I want to cut taxes. That's popular. And I'm thinking, again, I'm going to be the only Republican to vote no. And I just thought, it's too deep. It's too much. We just got surpluses. So I got my courage up again, and I voted no. But that was a hard vote. Of course we want to. Every politician wants to cut taxes. And now we're back in the deficit. So again, I think thinking hard about it. And where we're going to be. That was a hard vote. The one extra element to that Saturday going over to vote, I thought it was going to be the only Republican. Olympia Snow and the other Republicans I thought were going to be on my side. I knew at the end they had said, no, we're going to vote for it. So I thought I was going to be the only Republican. And again, open yourself up to criticism anytime you buck the tide. I get criticized. But I voted no, and then I heard, of all things, John McCain. John McCain voted no. He hadn't said anything about being against it, but he's unpredictable. And to his credit, he voted no. There was just the two of us. I like to see the youth getting involved, and that was my generation. I came up through all the student protests, and what a difference they made back then. So it seems it's coming back, the students getting involved, and the Occupy is a mix of generations, and that's certainly indicative. The Martin Luther King protest, I don't want to get in trouble here.
He's in trouble, not you.
So I like to see it. I like to see the peace symbol back on young people's backpacks and the like. That's the old generation that I grew up with. Get involved. By the way, I think Christian, who was with me here, has voter registration cards if anyone wants to register to vote. For Rhode Islanders or anybody over the 18. So get involved. And first, if you're feeling like you don't have any power, there's nothing like running for local office if you're getting involved in a campaign. It's a great feeling of empowerment, helping somebody get elected. And every candidate is appreciative of everybody that comes forward to help. Don't think I'm just going to be a nobody in a monster campaign. That's not true. Every candidate, I've been at the local level all the way to the U.S. Senate and governor, and everybody's appreciated that comes in the door to help in a campaign. Everybody makes a difference in a campaign. Every single person that comes forward. And I'm sure it's true with President Obama and the national campaign. People who went out to help, everybody was appreciated. I wasn't sure what I was going to major in at college, but for me, I took some classic courses. I'd taken Latin starting at Rhode Island Day, and then went at boarding school, kept up with it, and then took a few Latin classes at Brown, and I liked the professors. That's why I majored in it. They were the most interesting, and it was a small department. Only 16 of us graduated my senior year in classics, and so the professors could have us over their house. We talked about sports and travel and current events. It was fun. It wasn't just the subject, broader. So that's what us classics. And it served me well, I think, in it's the foundation of so much of what we do, whether it's Greek drama and the plays that you learn from Sophocles and Aristophanes and Aeschylus, the lessons that are learned from ancient years, to just English structure. I was never a scholar. I enjoyed it. Didn't go on to a PhD or anything. It was a great department, though. I did get the prize, right? I shouldn't tell myself. I got a prize, but that also included athletics in the prize, so I was on wrestling. So I got the classics prize for.
Bitsy?
Yes, the social safety net is a big part of our budget, and I'm caught between the howling of more cuts, and keeping that social safety net. And that's just the balance we're trying to keep. And homelessness is a reality with foreclosures on houses. People they end up in their car. Just lost my house. I just couldn't keep up with it. I turned it back over to the bank. I couldn't make my payments. Couldn't pay my property taxes. And Crossroads has done a terrific job, and we have a task force on homelessness. A lot of returning veterans, unfortunately, So the entire safety net of developmentally disabled, homelessness, health issues is what we as a civilized society are all about. The best advice he gave, and this is really important, have something to fall back on. It's true, because it does give you, and this is what he said, it gives you the confidence to make what you think is right in your heart. If the voters don't agree with you and vote you out, that's okay. I'll go back to being a banker or a car salesman or a lawyer, or in my case, I learned how to work on the racetrack. I know I could always make a living. And that's important. That is important. And something you enjoy on top of that. If you can find something you enjoy before you go into politics, that's really, really important. There comes some day when you can vote against a tax cut or propose a budget that's going to be unpopular. And you have to say, I'll take my chances, I'll argue it to the best of my ability, but if it doesn't work out, I'll come back and fight another day. I did lose for my first race for mayor, and I lost my re-election for the Senate, so you can make a comeback. I think that was probably before the bridge. The bridge was completed after he finished being governor. I remember in order to get around then, either you had to go to the ferry, and it just took too long. He did a lot of his visits to Good Island by helicopter. We were young then.